Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Valiance Dev Stream. How's everybody doing? Are getting ready to talk about a couple different comments or talk about a couple different things tonight. We're gonna have a little bit of content and lore done by Chad. We're going to show off the soldier commanding power set, some of the things that we got done in there. Bubble projection is officially in the game and working. We got a few more animations and effects coming, but we'll show you what we got so far. We got some character gen updates in. We'll be showing that off. And we will be showing off some of our NPCs and some of the things that you'll actually be interacting with as we get the game playable and show you some content. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm starting to see some chat going there. Nice to see you guys in here tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go ahead and introduce everyone. My name is Frank Ambrose, Jaximus. I'm the systems designer for Valiance Online. We have Aaron Victoria. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, Aaron Victoria. I'm the producer, creative director, and programming director for Valiance Online, and my signature character is Ironside. It's great to see everyone tonight.
Chad Dulac is also in here with us.
Hey guys, Chad Dulac, art and content team, Legacy, Power Set Extreme. Happy to be here, guys. Welcome.
And then we also have Sean Miller in here tonight with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Sean.
C4, Bane of the rest of the team.
What do you do, Sean?
QA director.
Oh, okay. That's why you're the Bane of the team. Yes. Nice to see everybody in here tonight. We are actually making a build of the game right now, so that's why the screen is on a static image. But as soon as the build is finished, we'll be jumping directly into the game and the full game, the built game, not in the Unity like we've done in the past, and be making 2 characters. But to get us started off, we're going to do some little content talk, and Chad Dulac is going to be talking to us a little bit about kind of the general state of the world and how we go from where we exist now in 2017 and one of the major events that happened between now and when the game starts. Go ahead and take it off, Chad.
All right. Big, again, welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. We have a lot of irons in the fire with every team that's doing something. So we just try and diversify. And my job today is to educate everybody on the 80-year-old origin story of where all this came from. Because in today's modern world, I'm not sure if you know or not, aside from movie theaters, there aren't any superheroes. So there had to have been some pivotal event, some sort of life-altering thing that causes the entire superhero world to take off and become into where it is. So most of that starts, ironically, with the character that is mine in the game, Legacy. Legacy is, for all intents and purposes, an alien. He's from a different planet that exists within the Silverhelm universe, and he's a scientist, gets caught in a celestial event, some sort of cosmic tether that ends up pulling him from where he is, rips him all across time and space, alters the makeup of who he is, his body, everything that he's able to do, and then he ends up crash landing on Earth in the year 2030. So at this point in time, just like every good story, he has to be discovered by somebody that can either do good or do ill with the fact that the first known extraterrestrial, aside from Area 51, of course, has landed on Earth. So this person introduced as Ambrose Grail. Now, you guys will actually see both Legacy and Ambrose Grail in the game. So in Valiance Online 2103, Ambrose Grail is still alive, bioenhancements and a lot of nanite things that have preserved him for the span of his life, and Legacy, being an alien, ages significantly less than a normal human might, but again, with advances in technology, people are living longer anyway. So these 2 characters are two of the only ones that actually transfer into what the game is. Let me go back to the past here. So Ambrose Grail at this time is a master biogeneticist. He has his own company called Osiris Bioengineering, and he finds Legacy, gets this little blip that something pops up on the radar. He and his team go out into the desert, catch him, and then bring him to Earth. So when once he crash lands, instead of doing something like dissecting Legacy or trying to take him apart or anything, he does the good-natured human thing and nurses him back to health. Well, this turns into a gratitude factor. So over about a 14-year span, Legacy is nursed back to health, nurtured, and it comes up that his DNA is of such a unique design that with the right organization and chemistry, a person could be healed of cancer, of AIDS, of all these debilitating afflictions that exist in our time that our human bodies can't heal by their own. Now we can make these serums that are able to cure all these things. So as a thank you for being able to be cured back to health by the Ambrose Grail, Legacy agrees. Actually, he actually volunteers to let some of his genetic material be used to start curing mankind's worst ailments.
Okay, so Chad, we have
Yeah.
we have an alien that came to Earth,
Yes, sir.
and he brought with him the cure to mankind's ailments.
Well, he brought with him the genetic possibility to do that. It was really Ambrose Grail's brilliance that kind of formulated that and made it go from something that was absolutely foreign into being something that are compatible with the human race.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So, and there's another point too here, and this is really pivotal for all you lorists out there. When Legacy came here, he had just gone through this cosmic event, this celestial tether, as we're calling it. And when he arrived, he was highly irradiated. So not technically like you think of like gamma radiation or anything like that, but whatever this power entity that changed his makeup was this radiance that was coming off of him at all times. So everybody that found him was exposed to this influence for that. And some of the characters, one in particular, Beverly Halen, who is part of the origins of the Halen nanotechnologies family that's in the game, is and also she was the mother of the superhero Paramount, who you guys will find out as well. She was influenced in a pregnant stage, and because of that radiance, ends up becoming Paramount becomes the firstborn superhero. So what happens is the difference that we're calling these is a person that is changed into a superhero from being normal by a serum is considered a hyperpower, a hyperhuman. And a person that is actually born with these abilities, what Marvel Comics would refer to as a mutant or somebody with a genetically born disposition would be considered a super. So hypers are created and supers are made.
So for all the people out there that are looking to start getting a jump start on their character lore, if they wanted to be a character who was born as someone who had powers, they could consider themselves to be a super if that's the way that the path that they're going, or if they want to be somebody who already existed and then took advantage of the technology at the time, they would call themselves hypers, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so the reason why this is of importance to anybody, why I'm going through this, is when you're able to start coming up with the reason why your hero is the way they are, how they came to be, the decisions they made in life to want to act and be in that capacity, they can choose to have made a life-altering decision along the way and choose to then become a superhero, or they're born with it and it's a burden that they've got. So there's a story-driven arc there that facilitates that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very
just to jump in right here with ZZ, you've got what do you call someone who is super intelligent and makes power armor capable of going up against supers and hypers on equal footing? You just call that a hero with cybernetics or an exosuit. It doesn't quite.
Just call him a badass.
Yeah.
That sounds fitting. Just call him a badass. And
Badass.
Are we gonna? That'll be the first thing that makes it through the Steam Workshop as one of the first origin stories that we want to add.
Yeah.
What are the
And
first?
no, Cyan Phil, we don't refer to Legacy as a radiation fairy, but No, everybody doesn't just get just powers from it. But if you want a radioactive spider, you can throw that in there. We're not copywriting anything for that. So,
Oh my word,
Um,
John.
all right. So where the division comes from, where the animosity stems from, is to this point in time, Legacy has
And you're
arrived.
talking
He's
about
irradiated.
the division between the supers and the humans.
No,
No, I'm
Legacy
sorry.
and
There's
Oh,
Grail.
excuse
there's
me. Yes, yes.
there's a rift that eventually happens. You can't just have it's not a Disney movie, guys. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. So what eventually happens is hubris. Okay, Ambrose Grail is this master biogeneticist. He's given the building blocks of the universe at his disposal. He cures some of the most debilitating diseases, and in the interim of creating that cure, he's able to unlock the potential to say, well, if I can fix one thing, what's to stop me from unlocking a little bit more of what mankind could eventually become? Because here you've got these unlimited cells that can do amazing and fantastic things if you're ever able to sequence and tame it. And so he goes through a series of sequences to try and make a serum that gives a person these abilities. This is where the hypers come from. So eventually he makes the last one in his trial that is a success is called Sequence 22. Sequence 22 is going to be a catchphrase. You're going to see billboards around Valiants in the game all the time. Come get Sequence 22. It'll make you new. So you're going to find all these great things about what Sequence 22 is. Well, as most things happen, once somebody's got power, somebody else wants it. So Grail is going to eventually be kidnapped by the organization known as Goliath, which in this iteration is a villain organization. He is forced to create Sequence 22 from an alternative alien source that is able to make these other hyper serums. He perfects it and is able to actually engineer what those abilities are. And so now we've got this hyper human creative serum in the hands of bad guys. And that will springboard forward into what the source of content for aggression will be in the Cold War. That's a whole different topic for another day. But takeaways: Legacy started it all. It's all his fault. Ambrose Grail was a good man until he got converted by a poor influence from an alien. So it's all aliens' faults. Don't forget the difference between a hyper and a super.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chad. So we have there's partially why and how you can have superpowers if you were born with them, if you added them to you, and you know how aliens affect the universe of Valiance Online. And we're going to talk more about um, this universe, this world, as we progress through a couple more dev streams. So thank you very much, Chad. We are almost finished with the build, and then we'll be jumping into the game. So that is going to be pretty fun. Anybody have any questions? I'm sure that chat was slowing down because it was a lot of lore, and we want to. How far are you to finish the power armor set? The armor power set. Uh, it's it's
The
in
power armor power set.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's a
power
lot of
armor
power.
power set. That's a lot of power for that power set. It is I would call it the next phase of the power sets to be added to the game. So it's it's actually something that I want to do more. It was in the first phase of the power sets,
Mm-hmm.
but because I wanted to actually do more, we're kind of changing. We're gonna change how a few things interact so that we can get a little bit deeper into some pretty cool power sets that people have been requesting, and things like a speedster power set, which we saw on the forums, things that have definitely been talked about, and we want to do them justice. So that's something that you'll be seeing in the future.
I know you haven't really touched on that much, Jax. I don't know if you plan on touching on it during this live stream, but I got a lot of friends who they said the same thing about wanting to have a character with super speed melee. And I was wondering if you want to talk a little bit about that tonight, or if that's something you want to wait on.
Yeah, we can talk about it. So some people have brought up these power sets that to really do them justice, we kind of have to have a little bit more control over the character's decisions, because it's kind of a thematic power set. So, for example, a speedster that um, would have uh, very random secondary or changing different types of travel powers, and just limiting them to it's a speedster melee set, which means it only has 9 powers. That is something um, that we could do. Definitely we could do, but I don't feel like it does those type of thematic power sets true justice. It makes perfect sense for something like super strength or throwing fireballs or controlling trees. It makes perfect sense for them to be a power set that you compare with something else. Those make perfect sense. But when you start talking about larger power sets that really have this theme that not only do I want it to be more than 9 powers, but I want it to have a little bit more control, so that we can have it so that, for example, a speedster power set, we can make it so that your powers are actually affected by the speed at which you're traveling. And the the way that we would do that, from a balancing perspective, is that we would have control over what type of travel powers you would default to. Now you could change your travel powers, you could pick other things, but starting off level 1 with a power set that is thematic power set, it would definitely feel better. And that's something that we're working on. So we definitely want to have, and it's what the way that it's going to be handled is it's actually going to be a separate archetype picture. It'll be an archetype that falls outside of the realms of our current archetypes, because, as I said, we want to do it justice, and it's going to follow its own rules. Now, the way that these type of thematic power sets will go, they won't. They'll have different limitations. So they may have a limitation that you may be required to already have a max level character, because they'll be more complicated than a typical character, because they won't quite fall into a specific uh, role in the game. Or they could follow other requirements. You may have to complete a series of trials, and you may have to have a pretty good reputation standing with a corporation in order to get a suit of armor. There's many other ways that we can balance those things to make sure that they're not falling into the hands of players that would get frustrated with them, but also allowing players all of the control and all of the fun that we think that those big power sets need.
Thanks for that, Jax. I know a lot of my friends who are going to be watching the stream will be excited to hear about that, because that's one of their biggest wishes, to have a power set that is based around the speedster theme.
Yep. I'm gonna go read back up here. I missed a couple comments. Um, so our yes, psychic style melee range control. They are part of the first phase of power sets. Um, um, yeah. So it is so somebody mentioned that psychic is a superhero staple. Um, and that's kind of what we were talking about, is that those kinds of things are very broad, but when it comes to how Tony Stark uses his Iron Man suit, or the Flash does his combat, anytime that you see anyone coming close to those type of things, they either have it and they're the same, or they don't have it and it's not quite the same. So when they do have something that's similar, it's nearly an identical, and it's because it only makes sense that way. So trying to do it halfway, it just doesn't work. It wouldn't feel very good for the player. Yes,
Excuse me.
psychic will have many power sets. Uh, where the heck are our spreadsheets? Do you guys really want to see spreadsheets right now? I will show you spreadsheets. You
Only
will.
about bubble villains. Only about
You,
Dr. Detergent.
yeah, bubble villains. Dr. Detergent spreadsheets. Dr. Detergent spreadsheets. We're getting them right
Also
now.
saw someone's asking about the panel at PAX West. It was just like a very minor miscommunication. Um, we're trying to make it. We'll most likely make it. We just at the time we were still trying to sort through a few things, and
What was the question?
we hadn't the question about our PAX panel appearance,
Oh,
and so there was just some minor miscommunication, but. Uh, Most likely, two of our devs will be going. The panel will only hold one, and the other will be passing out flyers with. We're looking at adding keys by the time of the PAX thing. Valiants already have been in alpha, uh, publicly available most likely. If not to investors, and we'll be passing out exclusive keys on flyers there. So something to look forward to.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
telekinesis is one of those interesting powers.
telekinesis actually. So if you're talking about lifting and moving and
Hmm.
throwing objects, that's actually a lot more crushing type damage than it is mental or
Yeah, but like
psychic type
the Z,
damage.
yeah, like the ZZ was saying, it could have control as well. Some control type abilities, like
Oh yeah.
maybe you have someone press someone down against the ground, they can't get up, and they fight to get up and stuff like that. And then, like you said, you have crushing, slamming them against things, throwing them. So glad I don't have to worry about that stuff. So glad. What a nightmare it must be for you.
It's only a little nightmare. Spreadsheets.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The live server is up, and John's update is in as well.
Someone talking about a bouncing bubble travel power on the boards.
You know what? I can't wait to finish the elastic melee.
Oh yeah. Well, the elastic melee and
Yep.
the bouncing
Cause
bubble travel power set would be pretty similar. It would
yeah,
just
because we
be
do have that
a
bouncing
variation
ball.
of a variation of
Look.
super jump that can work off of any hole.
So is it Dr. Detergent, Mr. Taffy as his sidekick now, or
Because we have like the bouncing locomotion for we have like the bouncing and stretching locomotion animations for uh the elastic melee characters.
the
Some pretty cool attacks in that power set too.
My friend wants to know how impressive the knockback will be. It will be very impressive. One of my absolute favorite things is having a man propelled man into space.
Oh my god.
I want when you just hit somebody just right and they die. Ah, yeah, the knockback will be real. Now, as far as so this is a interesting design point. Talk about knockback. Knockback when somebody dies uh, is absolutely okay because we don't care how far the body goes. We don't care how many objects the body smashes into after the body uh, has been killed, after that entity has been dealt with.
dang, man, you killing people, smashing their bodies into stuff, and
No,
not
no, no, no.
caring, man.
They'll be arrested after their body goes through
Uh,
3 buildings.
after you kill them,
No, no,
after
no,
you
no,
kill them and
no,
don't
no.
care.
We don't kill
Remember
anybody.
that.
We don't kill
Remember that,
anyone.
everyone. Jack said it. Don't. He's trying to be politically correct now. You
Yeah,
said it already. You
they'll
committed to it.
be arrested. Don't you worry. They will
Yeah,
be
they'll be.
arrested
How
after we.
effective?
Well, you know the way you. I can guarantee there will not be a single person left conscious after you knock them through a few buildings.
We gotta, we gotta add that too. That's one of the things that I'm most excited to add, like a pretty much destructible environment. So you kick people in the things, in the cars.
Mhm.
You see cars dead. You kick them in the trees. You see leaves fall down and them react to hitting the tree and stuff.
We have one thing in there right now.
Yep.
The grenade, which we'll be showing.
Oh my gosh, this guy. The grenade with the molten lava explosion.
Well, I mean, how else does a grenade work?
Yeah. I have no idea then if I have no idea.
But anyways, back to talking about design decisions and how things affect gameplay. Has anybody in chat played a melee character with a friend who absolutely love, powers like Gale from the wind, or from the storm control, or they played with a friend who just really liked the knockback power of every single energy attack. And you were playing a melee character. Those were the best friends. The best friends.
I remember all my friends would hate when I do knockback. They're like, reserve that until you just have to use it. Like you're pushing the enemies away. And I was like, well, doesn't that give you time to generate some endurance? It's like, I don't need to generate endurance. I'm built to regen quick. And I was like, hey man,
I can answer that as a tank. I don't need to rebuild my stuff. I don't need to chase my prey around. I'm going to kill it.
you're gonna
No.
chase them.
That's the point. Is
You're
that,
going to defeat him, not kill him.
we're gonna defeat him. But no, that's the point. It was by far the most frustrating thing. Remus Quinn is in chat. I just saw him LOL because he knows this was one of my pet peeves. I could not stand. And when I would make a team and I would just look at people's names, and if it even made me think that they had storm control or energy, and they were they were a class that had some form of knockback, and I was playing a melee character, it was unlikely they were getting invited to my team. I could just not stand. I mean, it was fun for that person, and we're
No one
going to
wants to
have
join your team.
knockbacks, but we're
No one
definitely
wants
going to
to
have
join your
knockbacks. It's just
team.
we're going to focus a little bit more on trying to make sure that there's more knockdowns than there are knockbacks in any situation that it would be possible.
Don't do
But
that.
on death, on defeat,
Man, and you keep saying Jackson, this isn't a bad guy, but
Jaximus is a superhero.
I'm not buying it, man. Not
Yes,
now.
knock up is perfectly fine. Knock up, knock down. Those are the directions we want players to go, or enemies to
I
go.
want one. I love my knockback.
Love me some knock up, especially with gravity control. Yeah, that gravity power set needs to get worked on a little bit.
We need to increase it by about 50%.
I knew you
Increase
were about
gravity.
to say- Don't do it. Don't
That's
do
Legacy's
it.
bag. It's okay.
We got
Get remove gravity from opponent and then do your knockback and then just watch what happens.
Or just add a bunch of knockback to it and then let you deal with it because you chose that character. You chose that archetype. So don't blame me for it. You could have been blasting too. I used to always say that. Like, you picked the tank. You picked the tank knowing that there were blasters with knockback in the game. So
there weren't any. because I never invited them to my team. They never leveled.
That's why your team sucked. You had the worst teams. I don't know. I always thought that it was just cool to like have that space. I don't know. It felt good to me. I don't know.
Like, you know what? I'm not
Yeah,
chasing.
pick a real tank.
I was like, why do you want to just sit there slugging it out? This isn't a boxing match. Relax a bit. Relax a bit.
Yes, we do have a diminishing return system for status effects, and that does include knockback.
We just talked about that earlier.
Yes.
Those damn ruins.
Yeah, I
I
just made
I
a
had to
power
log
set.
out. I logged out. I was like, okay, I can't get free. They're not diminishing. There's no diminish on these grabs. I'm out. I gotta log out. Oh man,
Pretty fun.
those good old diminishing returns. Where's your build at,
Build not done yet.
Jax?
Not done yet. 75%.
Okay. My oh my.
It'll be a bit for me because I had to switch from 32 to 64.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're still cashing up.
yeah, it'll be a bit for me.
Don't worry, never fear. I'll be jumping in.
Super strength and timer control.
What have you been working on lately, Jackson? What power sets?
Well, we just made a power set so that we can use something with some entity that will be added to the map. Some people that follow our Facebook have seen some distinctly nature looking entities, and they'll be using some plant control powers. This is the player equivalent of some of those animations effects. Some pretty nice effects for horns and
Oh yeah,
them those
thorns and vines.
yeah, thorns and vines. Vines the word. Yep. We've been working on the crafting and profession system uh pretty heavily.
I knew there was something I wanted to get in before the stream. I wanted to get your crafting
Yeah.
bench in just so you could interact with it and show people that where it was right now.
Yeah, we have quite a robust profession system that we're almost done with for a type of a stim or biocrafting set. Allows you to get different types of buffs. Will there be a generate black hole power and gravity control? What? Do we want to? I mean, I'm looking right here. It says gravity control. I can do that. So it would
Well,
be.
that's
So that
something.
would
That's
be
something.
a. That'd be
That's
a
something
target.
Legacy wanted for his power set for gravity. So
So.
So yes, a black hole.
Yeah.
target base AOE.
Location based.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Location based. Sorry.
Yeah, it should be able to attract multiple enemies into a common area and then have damage associated with it.
You remember that? You remember that? That effect. When you first seen it, Frank, the one that Crypto did, you're like, is it actually devouring those rocks? And I was like, there it is, black hole.
Yep.
Chance to 100% devour mobs.
So this
Give
would
it like
be.
give it like a 0.05% chance of completely devouring a mob. And we'll use that effect to just swallow them and just destroy them.
So this would be a faux special where they actually phase out.
Phase out.
Yeah, because when they enter the black hole, they would actually be phased out, and they wouldn't take any other damage. Black hole ends, so it would be a moderate damage over time.
I thought he was talking about like a I think it'll be more like a singularity type thing that Legacy was talking about, having something where they're kind of sucked up against it, but not like completely devoured by it. That was just a little silly idea I had based on that gravity projection effect.
Yeah, I mean, it could be used as like a. There's two things. Like, it would be a nice utility power because if it did actually phase them out of existence,
Yeah, that would be
it would
great.
be a really good hold for like if your team ever accidentally aggroes an extra 30 mobs you didn't mean to aggro.
Hmm.
You'd be like, oh, black hole, and we could set it to be a longer duration hold because we can make it a longer duration hold because it would not allow you to damage them while they're phased out. So it's like there's the positive is yeah you can, it's a longer duration, but the negative is you can't damage them while they're phased, while they wouldn't be attackable, which would make it a good tool.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I have it as a T8 power right now, so you would be getting it in your late 20s.
Dang. So you have to be an adult by the time you get it.
And yeah, it would be a pretty flashy move because it would be a pretty large AOE.
I'm gonna try my hand at that for his gravity projection, see if I can um see how well I can get it to perform with the gravity projection impacts, devouring like the local objects in the scene, like benches and bushes and small rocks and stuff. See what kind of performance we get, because I love to see that kind of stuff more.
All the black holes.
Because like I was when I was testing out the evasion attributes, one of the mobs had did like a full auto on me, and I think I had my evasion chance to like 80% or something like that, and he missed like all like 32 shots, and that like seeing them like hitting the different textures and sending like the bullet impact different textures and sounds. I was like, oh yeah, that came out nice. I was like, man, we got to find a way to do that for every ability without of course, you know, causing all kind of client performance issues.
Um, yes. Uh, yeah, you won't be given all of these powers. Um, you won't be given all of the powers. You will have the choice as you level up to select them or not. Won't just automatically fill. As you level, you have to return to a trainer to select it, and it would only be the ones you want. Only powers that you're forced on selecting is the ones that you pick in your character selection, which are just the bread and butter of the power sets, and they're typically not super fancy powers. They're just bread and butter starting powers. Can we customize animations? Well, that's an interesting question that can go very in depth, and it could also be very basic to the point that it's allow you multiple animation options. But we have already talked about there'll be separate animations for if you wanted to use a staff or if you want to use your hands to cast things. So in that sense, yes, those would be custom animations. Different.
That's something we'll be showing off soon too in the character creator.
Grab
You'll be able to
suddenly.
swap. You'll be able to swap weapons, and you'll see the animations. Every one of your attack animations change to support that weapon and that weapon style, that stance, whatever stance you choose with your weapon will also affect it.
As far as see the way that balancing goes for animations and powers, you won't be able to just swap all of your attacks to use the same animation because attacks are balanced according to uh, their animation duration. That's something that has to do with the global cooldown and cooldown of the power itself. So if you are allowed to swap between powers, which we or between animations, which we just confirmed you will be able to, they will be similar duration powers. They may be completely different styles. One may be a kick and the other one may be a punch, but they'll still be similar duration.
Hey, Aaron, we had a question from John Store a little while back about how big our team is right now. Do you have a number on how many of us there are?
Yeah, we're 12 strong right now. 12 strong.
Yeah, we got a decent sized team. Is the option available to non-weapon based power sets? Um, the ability to have a non-weapon in a weapon-based power set, not like you'll be able to change the weapon, but there's not really gonna be a way that I could see. Now, if somebody presents me with a pretty good idea, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I can't see a way that you could take a power set that revolves around being able to slice somebody with a sword and make it not a sword. Yes, there would be alternate animations for attacks, um, but in a lot of those cases that you might be thinking of, there actually will be entirely separate power sets. So let's say, for example, you like using a big claymore. Well, there'll be a one-handed type set and there'll be a two-handed type set. They would have completely separate um, animation durations. They'd have completely separate animations. They'd have completely separate effects and powers to match both styles. I would rather do that than provide you with the ability to swap between powers. I'd rather do that than, or excuse me, between swapping between different animations. Oh, did somebody in chat? Somebody in chat uh said
What
whip melee.
what yep, what melee is on deck?
Somebody said
What
whip
is it?
melee.
What is it? It's in one of those other, I think it's in one of them hybrid ones, right?
Yeah, it's the damage control set. It's a bit of both. For right now, our type of broadsword attack, our large sword attack is a single hand weapon. Katana is also a two hand weapon, but we also have a fencer class, which is a different form of single hand weapon.
Cyan Pills asks, can I shoot fireballs from a line? Yes, you can. That's actually going to be one of the first um, projection power set examples we're going to show for weapon changes. We have the normal hand cast animations, then you can swap it out for a long casting staff, a very long one, kind of like traditional fantasy medieval long staffs. And then we have one where it's literally just a small wand, and all animations reflect the same abilities and power sets, albeit they use the different weapons. And of course, you have a unique stance for each one. So those will be the first that we'll be showing off.
And as QA, I promise that if I find a bug where the small one does like double damage comparatively, I won't report that bug because I think I like that.
You won't find that bug.
Yeah,
because that's a balancing bug. There are no balancing bugs.
if you find that bug,
there
something went way wrong, like
there
really bad wrong.
there are no balancing bugs. There's only balancing features.
Yeah, you say that now, but when I find the bugs, you go, No, that can't be. Wait a minute.
Can I shoot a different element from different fingers? What do you mean different elements? Actually, I haven't made any power sets that combined elements. I believe. Uh, so give me an example. What can chat come up with an example of a power set that would use multiple elements in a thematic way?
You're actually asking me to pontificate. Let's see.
I asked the chat or you. I asked
Oh, I
anyone.
thought you said
Anyone.
Chad.
Oh, Chad. Yeah, Chad. What do you got?
Uh, I only have what I based, the love of things that I found for, which is either having a mystical origin for that or having a weather specific type of power. I'm one of the favorite villains I had that was ruined by the Iron 3 movie was the Mandarin. The Mandarin had these rings, of course, that just made him unstoppable. All these fantastic things he could do. And all of that was situated based on a different finger. So I'd want to make that more of a magical, basic sort of thing that would kind of tap into that and be able to have something specific. There's a lot of elemental mixtures that you'll find in a lot of different games. Diablo 3's got it. And it works really well because there's a compounding sort of damage. So let's just start with magic, go from there.
Did I lose you?
Nope.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you cut out. I thought the internet
No,
dropped.
I helped everybody by stopping talking.
Yeah. A
Don't let the
speedster,
content die talk again.
a speedster with magic fingers who can turn into a rubber ball. That's gonna be magical. Yep, that definitely would be magical. Have any of you played Champions Online? Yes. Yes, I might have. Wait. There was a question that I did want to. Oh, how about Confuse work in Valiant Online? Confuse is a interesting status effect because it has completely different properties for whether we wanted to use it in a form of PvP or PvE. And I've been contemplating different ways of using it so that, and also coming up with ways that would allow it to have a counter. So it's not something that your character just becomes uncontrolled, but it has some type of interaction. Um, as far as the best answer I can give you right now is there is no final definition of how Confuse works because what is currently in the game is something that needs to be tested and maybe edited. Fire, heart, wind, water, earth. Spell Weaver.
Where are we at bill wise over there, Jax?
Still at 75%.
Let's fly around. Oh, that's right. You can't even fly around the map because your editor is in use. Yep. About to throw up a build.
We have a primary set come from the left hand. Yes. Primary set come from the left hand and a secondary from the right hand. Yes.
See, that's something. I see. I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Novin, Noln. But that's one of the things that we wanted to do is street brawling. The animations were supposed to be able to flow fluidly. I have a set of boxing animations being made now that's supposed to be able to blend together in a very smooth way. So that'll be something to experiment with as we go forward. Animations that blend together smoothly and everything just feels like a proper combination.
See another question that I wanted to touch on. Oh, melee characters having access to that's something that is going to need to be tested. Because moving of a player in a way that avoids status effects is something that needs to be regulated and balanced with. So that's something that we'll be testing in the future. It's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility. Definitely. With all MMOs, I want the hit animations to play more consistently, like with fighting games combo. Actually,
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
quite a
that's what I was
good
just
system.
saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. We're gonna be improving a lot as we go forward. Me and Jax were actually just talking about that the other day. How we want animations to just
Tell
blend in with motion.
tell them about your test that you did with Dodge.
Oh, the one. Oh, yeah, yeah.
We
I
should have
had
got a video of that.
yeah, I had directional based dodging, and like if someone was to attack you from the back, you would evade it or block it based on the direction that the attack came from. And I was telling Jax, I was like, the next thing I like to see is like every attack have the same type of direction based flow. You know, I mean, that's kind of like way over the top, but it's something I want to explore eventually, and to be able to see like a player, someone's behind you and they attack you, instead of having to spin your character around, he just does whatever move he does from the most reasonable in the most reasonable perspective as he could from that angle. I mean, naturally that will lead into some type of turnaround motion, but to be able to do it, like if you're being attacked from multiple angles, using the exact same dodge and having to spin your character around to attack it kind of ruins the flow of motion during combat. So I was like, I really want to dig in and try to explore how we could do abilities. And I mean, like with some, it would be kind of impossible to do. Like if you have a projector and you're casting, and someone's behind you, you wouldn't kind of just fling the ice shard or ice grenade over your shoulder. You'd probably, angle yourself some way and try to throw it and then whip back around. But one of the things we've been talking about is ways we can improve the flow of combat, because we made some tough decisions early on to stick to rooted combat, because we did a lot of experimentation really early with motion driven strafing during combat, and the balancing is such a nightmare because you have the range characters who are moving and firing at melee characters, and if they maintain a gap, the melee character will never reach them in time enough to take them out before they get killed. So you have to give the melee character some kind of gap closing ability. And when placed in the wrong, like if you're just a blaster and you're placed in the wrong position and a melee character lunges at you and they're right in your face, in certain situations, especially really tight areas, you're pretty much doomed. So we decided we wanted to maintain the kind of grounded, rooted attack type combat, because that also gave us the ability to use multiple animation types too. For example, like our martial arts ability has lots of kicks. You can't really run while you're kicking. So what was happening was the player was sliding, or the kick had to be such a quick amount of frames that it was almost lightning fast, very similar to what Blade and Soul had. So had a very floaty feel because you would kick and slide and quickly bring your foot down to catch your sliding animation, so you wouldn't be so it wouldn't be so obvious that you slid left to right or diagonally left and diagonally right while trying to do a standing high kick. So we kind of were like, this is the feel we want for combat. We want our melee to have that proper leverage and momentum to each ability, each hit, each impact. So it came with us kind of restricting the attack hook kind of time frame to the player being grounded and locked into place. However, we were talking about ways to smooth the process, like allowing players to kind of have an opportunity of leeway where when you go into the attack, before the attack hook, you have a very small degree of movement. And as your attack hook is closing, because your attack is done, you begin to gain control over the movement of your character much smoother. And that's one of the things we were talking about doing to kind of improve it, so you don't feel that instant stick. You don't feel like all of a sudden your character just locked on you. But we also don't want to allow a player to slide around while they're attacking.
Yeah,
And Jax was
it's
also
not.
pointing out the
It's
jump he in
it,
City of Heroes too.
I've been paying very days. I haven't ignored the forum post that's been going on. We have. I'm telling you, we have spent probably more time contemplating the combat system, rooted, non-rooted, how we're going to do those things, and when it comes down to it, when when I see you guys talking on the forums, and I want to respond to it with words and what somebody thinks what a rooted system looks like or what it feels like, it's hard to really explain and show the goal and the final product of it, because you may have encountered a rooted system, or and I completely understand the comment about, no successful MMO game does that, even dinosaurs like World of Warcraft. Those types of things are not what makes the combat successful and fun. It's actually the smoothness of it and how those things interact with combat and how you play. Those are things that I'm deeply, and we've actually come up with several answers to it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we've come up with a lot of answers that vary in between, and yeah, there's yes, there are some games where, and actually originally we were talking about how we would have some animations and attacks that uh, a channel, and you have a casting bar, because that's one of the solutions. But that's not hero esque. The combat, if it having a few of them, perfectly fine. But that being a major combat feature, it didn't feel very good. And we'll be looking for feedback and support, and those are things that just decisions that we made, and we will definitely be looking at field, but and looking for feedback. But it's not something that we're taking lightly, and it's not something that we just arbitrarily said, "Hey, this is the way that we're going to go." And yes, be able to cancel. And this is the other thing. I think that just hold off and be patient with us. As far as the combat system goes, don't just write it down because you hear the word. Write it off because you hear the word rooted combat and you immediately have this bad taste in your mouth. Because there's a lot of features and tools that are built around this simple word of rooted combat that make it not rooted combat, that make it very seamless. Um, so just have a little faith. We're not ignoring you. And I actually wrote 3 posts that I was gonna do on the forums because I wanted to reply to it, but I was like, all of these words are they're not going to be the words you want to hear, and they're not going to properly explain anything. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's
see.
it's really hard to explain, like you said, our final vision, like what people will be experiencing here in a bit. It's a culmination of years of trying different things, doing research, testing other games, seeing what people thought about other games, seeing how our game, our story, our lore even uh, plays into our game overall gameplay experience, and then deciding how we want everything to feel. If it, like, and this is one of the things that I've learned over the course of working on Valiance, having worked on my own MMO for a while, is every game their experiences are unique to the design and the overall systems of the game. So, for example, I tell Jackson all the time with Legends of Ethera, there's a lot of things I do where I literally don't really concern myself with what a player is going to experience or how they're going to feel about a certain experience, because it's supposed to have that kind of jarring feel. It's supposed to feel shocking or unconventional, but there's certain aspects of Valiance that don't equate to what I would do with that game per se. And when it comes to our combat, we really want each individual experience to be very unique. For example, we were talking about the different elements and how different elements of the game would affect your targets. If you fire an ice shard at a character, the ice shard isn't going to feel the same as firing a fire shard. It's not just going to look and feel like a different elemental colored or particle driven version of the other one. It's going to have its own unique feel. And we're trying to apply those same principles to the feel of combat. When you're in combat, we want everything to just feel right. If you do a super strength uppercut, we want the super strength uppercut to feel like a super strength uppercut. We don't want you to swing and you feel like, wow, I just kind of just wildly swung, and I mean, it had a loud sound effect, but I didn't feel like I really got down there and just sent someone flying in outer space, like Jax was saying earlier. And it's just that rooted element is really key to showing that momentum and that leverage and that impact. And over time, you'll see things continue to improve as we develop. So I think it's one of those things that as you see it, you'll begin to understand it better, because we have a lot of ideas that hasn't quite come into play yet, because we don't have the financing to work as much as we want on those elements, or we don't have a full idea of exactly how we want to implement them, so they're still kind of in the prototype idea stages. But as time goes on, you'll see things improve and expand.
And another interesting thing, and I've talked about this with Aaron, and he's like, "Oh, that wasn't a feature." it was a accident. But there's a lot of ways that a predictable action happening during combat can be played around. Um, and it does require a lot of player skill. So, and sometimes, just like for example, our the way that you select profession or archetypes and the way you select power groups, those if we set it to a freeform system where you could pick whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, that doesn't always provide the best experience for the player. Sometimes having just a little bit of guardrails and allows us to balance things, which allows us to go a little bit crazier, which uh, allows us to get closer to the edge in some situations. Whereas if we had things fully freeform, we couldn't have that predictability that allows us to balance and build around. So one of the reasons why a type of more structured combat may feel bad, but it's actually not. In some cases, I did see posts that said, "Oh well, if it's a rooted type combat system, then that means that it may have less skill required." Um, I would argue that it's the other way around. Uh, yes, PoE has a very creative system with build. I enjoy PoE. We did not.
I actually agree with that. And as QA director, I would love to see everything just available so that I can test it and I can go through it. But from an actual lover of the game and someone that has loved the game since conception, I I want to be challenged. I want, oh, I want to be able to do this. Well, okay, what do I need to do that? Let's 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 go that direction.
Yep. Yep.
All right, Jack. So I think we need to we may need to cancel the build and just run it in the editor.
I did. I did cancel the build.
Okay.
He's compiling.
Okay. Did you update to John's latest? Is that what it was compiling?
No. Doesn't look like shutting the build down. Thank you, Violent Decay.
My build's at about 50%, so I'm working on it too.
Yeah, it's one of those odd occurrences. Mine built in about 12
Will
minutes.
there be any special mechanics telegraphs for boss encounters? Yes. Yes, there will be.
One thing that I do want to express is that the players and maybe Aaron or Jax can speak to this. Inside the game, if you see a bug, you can actually report it in game. And I think that's a very important thing that has been added, has been very beneficial.
Yeah. Well, the whole backbone that we're adding with the website is going to assist with that as well. It allows your account to be locked or be connected to the website. Yep. There are tactics that revolve around motion. So, any of you guys that are here tonight, involve yourself in our question about naming their accounts.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yep, definitely a big one. Yep.
And yeah, we got a pretty nice bug reporter now. Pretty nice.
So if you're a superhero and you stop being a superhero, and you enter a civilian mode, how far you think you should be able to walk down the street till you die? That's a conversation that we were having.
Yeah. You better use those the skyway. You better. One of my friends, when we announced that, he was like, you should have some villain, some suicidal villain just crash bomb into one of those skyway bridges and just take a bunch of people out. I was like, why would you say that? He was like, you can't always feel safe just because you're walking at some higher level than where most of the ground aggression is. I was like, come on, man, give us a little something to work with.
And technically, the people in the skyway would just be defeated.
Yeah.
Just defeated and not taken out.
Yeah. 100-foot drop, they're okay. They're okay. What we got over there, Frank? What we saying? What's Unity saying to us?
It is saying might be seeing something.
Come on, Unity. Come on, buddy.
I like how you're specifically sticking up for a single thing. Uh, si- Sticking up for a single thing in a game that you like. Days. Walks 2 people.
Man, that would be just a vicious villain plot right there, man. I was like, they just start blowing up those skyways with all those people walking on them. Man,
We're planning on streaming for about another 50 minutes.
we're trying to get some last second updates in, and
Trying to.
we really wanted to have the standalone build running. It's normally rather quick builds rather quickly. For some reason today, just decided it would take forever, but we should have made a decision to just go with just to show what we have. But we really wanted to show these extra new features, especially with the character creator, because we just got character creator updates in that actually shows a more accurate experience to what you'll have. Initially you saw grayed out options when you were selecting your primary and secondary power sets as well as your um, primary and secondary power groups, and now it uses a more accurate functionality where your primary options are always available. You don't have to worry about grabbing the second blade and spinning it around until you find your power set or your power group archetype. So we really wanted to show that off tonight. We also got all the uh, NPC quest givers. Okay, well, looks like we're up. We have the all of our NPC quest givers and interactive quests associates in game. You run from startup.
I did.
Startup. You got to run the local bill with his latest.
Um, the live server.
So you'll do startup local.
Startup scene. Startup local scene.
You yes, set up your build and do startup local and disable startup live.
Scene. Oh, I mean, actual scene.
You just do startup for your scene,
That's what I. Yeah.
and then your build settings. You make sure startup local is the only one enabled. And you're running your local server.
Final Fantasy chat.
The server which no one may enter yet.
We was talking about the Final Fantasy server,
uh,
but ours too.
I really love that Final Fantasy.
Soon, everybody. Soon,
Sooner than you think.
soon.
I love how you reacted when you got that clean server build. I was like, he got that feeling. I was like, for the first time, you felt what it felt like when you started that server with no errors.
Soon. Famous words.
You got your server started.
Yeah.
Weird.
Will we be curbing bots from the start? I got a lot of fun things planned for people that cheat in our game. I am not a fan of botters.
What is your server reporting?
And why didn't you start me? What heroes? What heroes do you know?
What is your server report over there? Make sure to hit enter if you're in the console. Okay, there we go. My gosh, that's why. What is up with your character list?
Worry
Start
about my
deleting some of those
character list.
things.
Don't worry about
Start-
my character list.
Start deleting some of those things, man.
Don't worry about my character list.
Delete
Everybody
those.
except Orange Julius.
Orange Julius Cyber. He'll be
Yeah, but
somewhere.
Cyber's his married name, so.
Oh, that's
Oh my
true.
gosh.
That's true. Because you have to have your first name with a space in it.
Put a dash in it.
Put a
Give it
dash
some
in
flair.
there. Yeah. Get some
A dash
leet
of what?
speak. Get some leet speak in there.
Oh my gosh, elite speak. You're supposed to do some character creation. You're like, let me get in the game. It's been too long. People have been listening to us.
I
ramble
want to
about
throw
too much.
bubbles.
Oh my gosh, you and this bubble crap.
It's not
I'm glad
me.
I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you did it pretty much all by yourself too.
Yeah, you should be. I bet you are.
I gotta give it to you. You did pretty good, man. I like where you're like, hold on, let me write this down. I was like, this guy's gonna bum this server. When you were like, hey, I need you to tell me what's happening here, I was like, oh no, I don't want to hear that.
Man. Oh man, look at that! Look at that view right there.
You want to go to the forest, to the
Forest
darkness.
is dangerous.
It sure is. That's the worst place to go. It's bad when the default level 50 goes in and just gets wrecked.
It's a dangerous zone. It's meant to test you.
You go in there with your friends. Go in there with your friends and leave alone.
Go in there with your friends and leave alone. Go.
Yep. That's from running out of there. Oh yeah, you're running as a physics server too.
Yeah.
For now.
A little bit lower.
Yeah.
PS.
Just let it settle. There we go. Oh, there we go. I still can't get over this. Power set.
You guys ready for bubbles? Come on now. Bubbles.
We got to get those other visual effects set up too for the higher tiers.
Well, we have to get some.
I have to figure out the healing energy bug. It's really getting to me.
Yep. Physics server.
Yeah. Look at that selection effect. It's much better now.
Yep.
Not the nightmare bears. Oh, you added the impact too.
Yup.
Oh my gosh, man. 2,000 damage from bubbles.
Yeah, man. Bubbles 2,000 damage.
That actually looks really good, man.
I know it
Um,
does. It looks amazing. We'll make fun of the
is
bubble
that
set.
five? Is that 5 shots? Is that a five
Yeah.
shot attack?
Yeah, it shoots 5 times. A Dukin.
Nice. Yeah, there is
uh,
something. There is something off with the spawn point. I think the Oh no, you know what it is? It's because you're on
Alright.
local, and it's
Wanna
not. It's
you want
not
a bigger
accounting for the
attack?
lag.
Here you go, bigger attack.
You didn't finish it. You
Yeah,
didn't
it did.
finish it.
Yeah, it did.
That wasn't it.
Well, I said bigger. I didn't say the big.
Dang, I didn't know you finished it. I gotta figure out what is going on with
That
the dot.
that I don't know. That explosion on the bubble barrage might be a little too big, but go big or go home.
Which one was that?
On the this one, the close range, high damage over time one.
How did it? Yeah, it's
Uh,
up there.
but all right.
It's up there. You need to run around a bit and let the rest of the area load because with it running in the editor is gonna get kind of choppy.
Well, you swapping characters. But hey guys, we created a power set last stream, and it's in the game. It's in the game.
It is in the game. Don't do it.
Yeah. Uh, swapping characters.
Oh, I didn't get the oh well, I'll catch it. I'll catch it tonight. I forgot to add that those attacks to the physics force setup. So they're not doing the they're not uh, passing in force to the ragdolls yet. Not that they should be since it's bubbles, but
Oh my goodness! Wait, I just noticed there's Star Wars Galaxies chat going on over here.
and for those of you who may be wondering, one of the it's moving a little bit. Um, it's kind of jerking around is because at the moment we have all of the NPCs. I think we have about 200 Rowan Oak mobs in the park area and a few other perpetrator mobs in. And right now, Jax is acting as the physics server. For the live server, of course, we have a entire computer that manages the physics for that. And so his computer is not only running the client, the server, and the local server, but he's also carrying the entire game world's physics. So it tends to lag a bit. Usually during early testing like this, or when we're doing local testing, I'll disable all the mobs that aren't testing and we'll spawn each one individually because we don't have any kind of local separate machines that we can all use to carry the weight of that. So we just remove whatever mobs we're not going to use, spawn them in individually when we need to test them, and once they're destroyed, then we don't have to carry any physics load aside from the environment physics, which isn't nearly as um, punishing as a server full of mobs, active AI. And we put all of the NPC quest givers and their associate contacts in the map so we can kind of give a run around and kind of show everyone how many characters we've done over the last 2 years of development. And of course, our content team, they're working on what is to be considered the actual content, what you'll be experiencing for this alpha. The earlier part of this alpha will be the test content. It'll operate as side missions. There'll be one arc that kind of drives the player through some of it, but there's also uh, some NPCs that you'll communicate with through just uh, talking directly to them. You know, they may be standing around a building or just communicating, and then you just connect with them by walking up to them and talking to them. And you know, some of them they also check your level. Some may check your association to other NPCs, and they'll give you side quests, side missions. Um, but the majority of the quests that you'll be experiencing during the very early public alpha release is just for us to do testing, run some analytics, um, and play around with some concepts and just get a feel for server performance, server load. We'll be implementing some technology around that to better suit the direction of the game. So you'll be experiencing some content that'll be a little bit um, kind of spammy. It's not designed to reflect our final content, but that's something that our content team is currently developing and working on our actual, what we consider our actual main story arc. So we have all those NPCs from our current test development there. And once we create a character here, we'll be running around in game and giving people an opportunity to see all the mission givers that we're bringing.
And I'm just scrolling through everything because I know that there's somebody on our forums that just loves to take pictures of the stream. I love you, whoever you are. And if you're here tonight, or if you're watching whenever this gets put on YouTube, you're an amazing person. That's the dedication that we're looking for in our community. You are the player that will help other players with their builds. You are the player that will change the meta. Do some broadsword.
Let's do some broadsword melee.
Broadsword.
Busy night tonight.
Yeah, there we go. And a purple guy. Love the colors. The colors got a lot more vivid this last time.
It's funny. It shows. I was doing some testing on the live server, and I see where you tried to um, connect to the live server with the inappropriate version, and it's throwing all kind of errors. First, I was like, "What is going on? Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, he's trying to connect with the inappropriate build."
Oh yeah.
Give me them size changing powers. We got a couple of those. One is still kind of in the conceptual phase. The shrinking power, that one's gonna require a lot of uh, thought and work. We have elastic melee, which allows you to kind of warp about, and we have another power called overgrowth, where uh, you just kind of grow to kind of like a massive version of yourself. Whatever your character is, you become kind of a massive version of that character. The goal is to eventually allow players to create some type of blending type elements that they can actually blend to if they want. If they want to grow and their color changes, their face changes, their eyes change, stuff like that. And that's an interesting one because right now we have a very strict out of combat type system that brings your character back um, to their default stance, and that's something we'll need to do some modification for it. Because if a player wants to grow massive and just stay massive, it would probably be best to separate that abilities in combat structure, because as of right now it's a simple transition for combat. So as soon as combat is over, you return to your normal size and scale, and it's pretty jarring. Probably not the best way to handle that, but it's one of those in development type abilities. You probably don't want to keep growing and changing every few seconds. Crystal Clarence will return, huh? Can we grow our heads huge and call it DK mode? Maybe. We should be. I wanted to get that ready.
Who in chat wants to be named after this character right here?
Oh, damn.
Whoever says me first gets it in a couple seconds when it comes around. He tried to rotate the character on the screen. Oh. Got it, John. Oh, I'm sorry, you missed the question.
What power set did you make?
Broadsword,
Oh, that's right. Restart Firefox.
His superpower is passive aggressiveness. No, his superpower is going to be active aggressiveness.
Come on. Cool.
Well, actually, this is an energy sword.
So speaking of that, I don't know if you want to kind of talk about how you were, because I know it's something a lot of people that I played City Heroes with would ask a lot for, is the ability to have like weapons that didn't align with whatever your ability was. Like for example, if you had super strength and you're able to pick a super strength weapon or whatever, how would it work? Like say for example, right now with broadsword, you have a plasma blade. Your damage type in game naturally is slice. What I believe is it slicing and crushing? I believe, or lethal and
Lethal.
crushing, right? Yeah. So how would that work if, say, you chose a baseball bat instead, or you chose a let's think, the
Well, the
craziest
way that
type
it
of
would
weapon,
work.
a electric prod or something like that. Would you be able to use that with the broadsword, or would you have to use an electric base powered and then use the electric weapon?
The way that that would most likely is that we would actually have a power set for that weapon.
Okay.
It's the way that it would most likely. I mean, I'm planning on tons of power sets and tons of different effects and animations that use the powers, and I have to run away from those bosses. But I have to go level up. But yeah, the way that it would work is that it would actually be a power set. You know, a baseball bat. You wouldn't use a baseball bat as somebody who uses a broadsword. You know, it would
So
be
you'd have a completely
we would
different
have
power set.
baseball melee. Oh,
Baseball melee.
oh. So who wants to talk about some of these characters? Chad, Aaron, content,
Which character specifically?
the characters for the missions that are going to be in the open alpha when we get there soon. Hashtag.
You could go over some of your you can go over some of your newer content, Chad, and I'll talk about the existing characters that are there.
All right. Well, the first character that the players are going to meet is going to be Dr. Whitney Carlisle. What I'm hoping is going to be one of the most iconic NPCs in the game, simply because every person that makes a character is going to see this individual and have a dialogue with them. So, what we're trying to do is to create an infrastructure about how some of the characters are drinking the Kool-Aid, as it were. You guys will find out that Tron Bioengineering has got a little bit of shady dealings with some of the gangs that will pop up later on, specifically with Los Rojos and Jordan. Forgot his name. Juicer is the name of the character and a boss that you guys will fight later. But so these characters are just employees. It's like going to Little Caesars or something and ordering a pizza. The people behind the counter love what they do and they like their job, and come to find out that their boss is an evil overlord. So these first characters that pop up are going to be like a medical staff that help the characters acclimate from the tutorial that'll eventually be there, and then migrate them over towards City Hall. Once we get into City Hall area, there's a cadre. What we're building on is having people that can give some starting missions. There's a representative from the police station who's there. There's a person from Public Works Utilities District Power. We're eventually going to have a representative from the Intergalactic I don't know, coalition. I don't think we've actually settled on a name for it, but the intent is to have an advocate that can send the players into multiple different missions that'll start off to acclimate them to the city and those elements of them. And then the other side of that is once they've gone and they've been sent out into the city and they've experienced some things and they've leveled up and they've got their travel powers and they're able to come back to Skyline, is to have a whole different set of missions that's going to be higher level role-playing content for them, as well as having just seated NPCs. That what we're doing is we're taking the people that you guys will see, or most players will see at the starting NPCs for our testing. Those will be reintegrated as stumbled upon missions. And I know Aaron had kind of talked about that, where you're able to go down the street and find a lady who needs to get a cat out of a tree or somebody who stole somebody's pocket watch. And while these will be unique, the intent is to put an homage to that as the development of Origins, and have a series of missions that, if unless you find these, you'd never know what they are. But being able to follow through with them and stumble from one person to the next like an Easter egg is going to have a very unique reward, because the player goes out of the way to find those original starting characters and the quest. Aaron, I'll go ahead and let you jump on there, because some of them had originally been for Valor, the superhero organization that people can select to side with as a pure good or a good type superhero with. The originator is the main quest giver, mission giver, and I forget what his name was.
Yeah, that'd be Marcus Clark. We're for the alpha release, we're going to have most of the federal workers in the Civic Center building as we repurpose them to make way for the bigger introduction of the Skyline Center area, which is going to have like the major city hall building. I believe Tron Bioengineering is there, right? Legacy.
That's correct, right there by City Hall.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other major elements in that area, the Skyline Center location, and so we kind of repurposed a lot of these characters. This federal workers have been moved to the Civic Center to make way for the new content, and you'll be meeting with Marcus Clark like you did during the pre-alpha. Of course, his dialogue has been updated a little bit. He kind of points you around, sends you on your first couple of missions for the alpha release. He introduces you to Detective Tracy LaPlante, who sends you on your first warehouse mission, where you go about taking care of some security mechs have been hacked and are being used to attack certain Tron Bioengineering agency buildings. And so the player goes in, is disabling those and um, setting up the perpetrators to be caught, that the ones who hijacked and hacked the devices and using them to subterfuge the mechs. And so she'll send you over to the or the police department chief, who'll send you out on more warehouse missions. Then you end up doing the mission where you have to infiltrate a Tron building to investigate possible wrongdoing by Tron Bioengineering for an investigation. And then from there, you kind of just branch out for the time being, and you just kind of talk to NPCs. You look for clues around the city about wrongdoings going on, and you kind of find side missions by talking to uh, NPCs that don't have a linear path to them. And
Right.
we're trying to keep them very close to the Civic Center platform and location, so players don't have to do like they did during the very early pre-alpha, where they had to go kind of searching throughout a massive city looking for these few NPCs. We're kind of keeping them all around the Civic Center area. Um, One of the other things that have changed with the
Did I lose you, Aaron?
or during alpha, it won't be available as it was during the pre-alpha, as we're going to be making some dramatic changes to how the repeatable quests are handled. I believe Jax wants to keep that system for mid-level or high-level content. Is that right, Jax?
Actually, you cut out there for a second. What did you say before that? Talking about what type of map system or what type of mission
Uh,
system?
I was saying with the Muse system, the original Muse system that was in the pre-alpha, didn't you want to reserve that system for mid-level or high-level content?
Yeah, that'll be something that really comes into play probably 30 and up, around that type
Okay.
of area, because it's meant to provide decently random, repeatable content. Because just around those levels, it starts the content to leveling speed ratio increases dramatically. So it'll be entirely up to a player, but if they choose, that would be a direction that they could. And that's something that you touched on a little bit, is that while we do plan and want to have a linear storyline, choices to you, the player. Um, the choices to you, the player. I'm seeing some people saying that we crashed. Maybe it was my internet that dropped for a second there, but I believe we're back now. But the choices to you, the player, we're trying to leave that a little bit more a sandboxy, you could say, because I'm sure we've all played games where it was an open world with extremely tight rails on it. It's quote, and I'm raptor clawing in the air right now, quote, open world, but it actually had some very tight rails on it, and you really don't get to experience the fact that it's an open world. You don't get to experience the fact that it's a living world. And you go to an area because you're sent there, and you never return to that area for any other reason because you're sent to another area. You don't explore those areas and then enjoy yourself when you get there. And that's something that we're trying to make sure that you do. If you feel like going off in a direction, now granted it may be too high a level for you, but if you feel like it, go for it. It might be a little bit difficult for you, but we're not going to stop you from doing that. Are we back now?
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay. I apologize about that.
Looks like your net is sped up too, or the feed. Everything seems to be moving smoothly now.
Well, we're closing in on 9 o'clock here. 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes, sir. So, is there any closing statements that you want to make, Jax? I know you wanted to show off updates to Soldier Commanding. Are you still looking at doing that, or do you?
We'll save that for our next live stream. We have definitely a lot more things that we wanted to show off. You got to see, anybody that was paying attention might notice that there was some changes to the ragdoll system. As opposed to last time, we did get to see plenty of changes for the character generator. A lot more updates on that coming out. A lot more ways to make it just more user friendly and also better interaction. We did get to see some bubbles being shot around, so I'm pretty happy with that. I know some people in the chat were pretty happy with it too. Maybe some other time we'll be able to do another power set created from the chat. That was really fun. Maybe we'll specifically announce that ahead of time, so I could even throw out a theme ahead of time so that you could start getting some names and ideas together. Chat, that is. But I think we did pretty good tonight.
Yeah, me too. I know we usually start off doing a lot of context and dialogue, and we've been actually working to improve our structure. We want to, going forward, we want to have a more structured presentation. We don't want to lose our, our personal, the personal nature of the dev stream, but we also want to start working on a stronger, more strict schedule, and being able to follow that and to maintain consistency. So when people visit, they know what to expect. And we've been learning slowly, and this is pretty new to all of us, and we've been just working to improve. Frank, do you want to? Well, actually, Legacy, do you have anything to say in closing?
No, aside from content, we're just doing our best to. All the products that we'd been making had been kind of thrown around, kind of hodgepodge. So we made something that was just for the concept of filling a need to test. And right now, all of the efforts for content now are focused towards being towards the finished game. So when you see something or something we're talking about, it's going to have a definite feel and a purpose towards what the end game players are going to get when we release the game. So we're starting to put in the actual content and less placeholder work. And the intent of that is to really give all the people that have been behind the game and all the support we've seen to it to make it worthwhile, so that it's not, hey, this is going to change later. This is going to be different. We really want to start giving you guys what that end content will be, even if graphics wise they might alter a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, hopefully the names will stay the same.
Tiny one, it might be.
Man, something is going on inside of that fort. Strange is going on over there. Maybe we'll explore that a little bit tomorrow night.
Something's. There's no escaping.
There's no escaping that forest.
There's no escaping that forest. Once you're in, you're in. You win or you die. What is up with the stretchiness?
It's a magic cloak. It's a magic cloak. It's part of the character's lore. Didn't you read it when I made him? No, but so anybody that is still here tonight, we're glad that you're here, and we're pleased to announce something that tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be opening a form on the website for investors to be able to download the client to the game. And then at 7 p.m. tomorrow night Eastern Time, we'll be opening the servers up to the investors. And we'll be doing a live stream tomorrow night where we get to explore this forest over there and enjoy the open server with our players, with our community. So we are very happy to announce that. That's why I was teasing most of the time, saying soon was closer than you thought. So be sticking forward to the forums, and watching, keeping an eye on those. That there'll be some updates tomorrow, so that you can get started on the download, that you can get everything set up and ready, so that come 7 o'clock when we do the live stream, we'll be logging in at the same time you do, and we'll be exploring some of the content. So many questions.
Yeah. And something that I'd like to say, because I know a lot of people were asking about their status from the original forums, and that's something throughout this weekend we'll be merging. Now that we've finished some of the server technology, we'll be merging the old content in, and nothing will change for those of you who are using the same email address. You'll just notice your founder status will raise. You'll have your founder status. And all of your points from the original site will blend over. And of course, you'll be given access to the investor section of the forums, where you can provide any questions you might have. You'll be able to access links and read any information from us developers regarding the server test, because we're going to be, one of the biggest things that we're going to be doing is pushing our server. We're going to be making a few announcements when we're going to be doing some heavy server testing. We'll like as many of our donators there as possible to really help us push the servers, because this will be our last venture before opening up the public servers to our public players. And one of the most important aspects of these tests is that once we launch, we won't be closing our servers again. So everything going forward, we'll just be doing updates and patches. So this will be pretty much it. This will be our last break before everyone's allowed in, and the game becomes live permanently. So we want to make sure everything is working as intended. And we appreciate everyone's investment, those who have helped build this product, because we couldn't have done it without you. The server costs, the asset payments, covering contractors, It was all made possible thanks to those who are able to commit investments to our company, and we really appreciate you all. And we're going to continue to work on releases. We have a lot planned. We'll be doing live streams every week. Aegis will be informing the community consistently about those, and we'll be making sure that we cover everything that's coming to the servers for each release. We're going to be patching quite frequently because now that we have a solid core, we're going to be working to consistently release updates. So it won't be long distance updates like before because, as I said, our core is solid right now. We have major updates coming for the combat system. I'd like for Jax to go over that because that's a big deal. There's a lot of features we wanted to get in for this release, but at the moment we really have to start putting strain on our servers. We have to start properly testing. But there's a lot of things coming to the combat system I'd like him to go over before I close for today.
We kind of talked about combat system pretty heavily last stream.
Yeah, but you didn't really talk about the features that it's missing right now that we want to get in as soon as possible.
Well,
Like one of the like for example, what was making it nearly impossible for me to survive the forest as a level 50 versus level 30 mobs?
yeah, I mean, there's features that we partially have in the game, and there's features that are not in the game to the extent that they need to be, and those are things that will be dramatically affecting the way that players play the game and the way that combat feels. Right now, when you're a level 50 mob and there's a mob that's level 30, yes, there's a raw stat difference between you, but you might as well both be level 50, and one just has less stats because there's no multipliers, no addition damage multipliers, no accuracy multipliers or debuffs to go into that. So that's definitely a feature that is going to change how combat feels. So there's a lot of things where a diminishing returns on status effects, the ability to um, uh, differentiate percentage chance on status effects, magnitude and duration of them. Those are all things that are going to be being worked on during the open investor phase of the alpha up until 100% of the combat features will be in the game when we launch into public alpha. So that is a goal. That is, there's no question ifs, ands, or buts about that. When we launch public alpha, all combat systems will be in. Right now we have the basis of most of them in, and it's a requirement of having them all completely in at that time. And it this will be the time where you start logging in every day and you're like, holy cow, everything feels different. You
Yeah.
know, you're going to be logging in day to day because we have so much in the game that is just raw code, and it's not something that's really visible until we start tweaking it and start implying it and start adding it to things, and we start making other things work with it. We may have a system that is completely done, but it doesn't interact with this other system. So we're getting to the point where all of this is going to start wrapping up, and you're going to be so surprised with how fast things start
Yeah.
progressing, because we're at that point where we're about to reach the peak of the mountain, and after that it's downhill. And downhill is not a negative term. Downhill is talking about just when we reach that summit, it's going to be a dramatic speed up of combat features and just in-game features that really I know that we're going to wow everybody that plays our game. We're going to just blow everybody's mind with how much winning and how much great things are going to be done.
Again, as Jax was saying, that's like so many things have improved since core systems has been finished. For example, I was handling most of the spreadsheet conversions, power set implementations, and such because Jax was so busy building core fundamentals for combat crafting and such. And now that his core elements are finished, he's able to focus on that, freeing me up to do other things code related, development related that I normally wasn't able to do. And so things are really moving much faster now that we've completed our core. Another announcement I like to make is that as of uh, Thursday, Wednesday of this week, we finished the very last of the art, the environment character art for the alpha, which we expect to last for the next 6 months of um, development. We're only investing now in animations, voiceover work, and server costs. So art has been concluded. We'll still be doing final art, concept art from our art director. Those things that will be implemented much further down the line. We're not going to be stretching the team too thin right now. We've been contracting all our 3D art, so we'll be working on final art. You'll see what things are supposed to look like when final, but we'll be working with what we have for the next 6 months. Um, we have a few power sets that'll be animations that'll be purchased tonight, and we'll be going in game early tomorrow morning, and will be available in a patch with new power sets sometime this weekend. But we'll be continuing to invest in animations, emotes, power sets, general social animations and such. But as far as art, we've reached the pinnacle of where we want our art to be for our pre-alpha, and we're just going to continue to polish up our our placeholder art to a final state, and we'll transition art that needs to be completely replaced once it's concepted and outside of our 6 month scope.
I bet you
Uh,
somebody in chat did not recognize how big this wall was and those trees are until I ran
I,
up to it.
I'm telling you, I had no idea how massive. I had no idea how really massive that environment. Thing that I have to keep reminding myself is we haven't quite landscaped. We did what we needed to do to get a presentable, playable experience there, but we haven't landscaped it. The landscape is all even. Everything's flat. We do have the trees and rocks coming and such, but once it's landscaped appropriately, once you have the broken ground, the rocks, the overgrown rocks and stuff, it'll be much harder to traverse, and it'll make it far more interesting, and definitely will make it feel much larger.
Yep.
So we're also announcing that we have our Discord will be opening for our community. We'll be able to interface with our community more directly, more frequently. We'll be dropping more frequent updates there. You'll be able to communicate with our devs more frequently and straightforward. And last but not least, we will be sending out emails alongside the investor alpha access forms. So, investors, please keep an eye out for those. And the last note I like to make is that we'll be revealing our new investment tiers. We just got the last bit of art for that yesterday. So we'll be announcing our new investor tiers as well. So we have quite a few really great ones. One will allow you to have your own supergroup base inside the persistent world. You'll be able to use our player housing tools and base tools to design and build your base. You'll be able to determine if you want people to be able to openly visit it. Right now, it's either openly being able to visit it or not. We'll eventually add some tech to allow you to determine what rooms can be accessed, what areas can be accessed, and such, in case you want to have a publicly accessible headquarters for yours. We're calling them alliances in Valiance, which is your group of superheroes or supervillains. And that about concludes um, tonight's live stream. As I said earlier, we really appreciate everyone, every member of our community supported us, all of our donators who have backed us and believed in us. Going forward, as Jack said, it'll just be consistent updates. The game will be expanding. Our public alpha launch will be populated with a very dedicated group of people. One thing that we will be making sure of with this alpha release is that before we take the product to Steam, that we're in the perfect place. We're not going to rush through the public alpha testing phase to try to rush to Steam. We want to go to Steam with a solid product. We want our community behind us 100%. We want those who support us to believe and know that we can do what we promise to do, and we want to deliver on every milestone that we say we'll achieve, and to really show the community that we have what it takes to make this game what we want it to be, make it that great next adventure for everyone who's supporting us. So we appreciate everyone. We look forward to seeing you all in game, and we look forward to the feedback in the forums.
Yeah, there will be. Yep, there will be a Discord. But as for tonight, we are going to be out. We are going to say thank you to everybody that came and joined us tonight, and thank you to all those that watched this later, because we know that not everybody can make it at a specific time because we all have real lives. So we truly appreciate you guys taking your time out to join us here tonight. We really appreciate interacting and talking with our community. There's no way that I can overstate that. There's no amount of words that I can overstate that with. So I really want you guys to take that to heart. So thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate it. And we're gonna say goodbye. Go ahead down the list. Aaron, you want to say?
Well, like I said, we appreciate everyone. I personally can speak for myself and say I really truly appreciate everyone. I'm thankful and I'm grateful for an opportunity to rebuild this world and to see all my friends, family, and associates in the world with me together, all enjoying themselves and reliving those times lost. Thank you.
Chad?
I'll be short-winded. Thanks to the fans. Appreciate everybody showing up. Even better, there's more coming. It doesn't stop. It only keeps growing from here. So more content, more art, more fun, more bubble powers.
Exactly. I got to get those other bubble power sets in. And C4, you still there with us?
Yes, sir. I want to say thank you to all the fans because you guys have been a fanatical wonder. You guys have been absolutely priceless in driving us to continue forward. And this team, I love you guys. You're
Thank
great.
you very much, C4. We
Love
are
you too, man.
we love what we're doing, and we can't wait to do it even more for you guys. So thank you. Have a great night, and we will see you guys